Welcome, Reds, to the 100% United podcast. I'm your host, TC, and I'm joined again by my co-host, Scott. Hello, mate. How are you?
Hello, mate. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Enjoy your international break?
Oh, just about. It was a bit long, wasn't it? But nice to be back where we belong.
A much-needed break, though, really, I think, for all United fans, really. I think it was nicely timed, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think we were maybe a bit fed up after that trip to Southampton a couple of weeks ago, and we just needed a couple of weeks to recharge everything, you know.
Yeah, as Rashford said after the game, actually, on Saturday, it was perfect timing.
Yeah.
Anyway, on today's show, we do reflect on Saturday's hard-fought win over Leicester, discuss the renewal of David de Gea's contract. We look ahead to Thursday's Europa League tie against Astana, and we also look at how we are progressing under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. First, Scott, a 1-0 win at Old Trafford. It felt more like a hard-fought away win after maybe a European tie on the continent or something like that. But at this stage, we'll take it, won't we?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. It actually reminded me of that famous semi-final against Barcelona, which you were at back in 2008, when we had to hang on for, 75 minutes, and this one we had to hang on a little bit longer, but it was hard going, wasn't it? And as soon as that penalty was awarded, your heart just went in your mouth and you thought, here we go again.
It was interesting, wasn't it? When it was, I mean, it was obvious from Rashford's face, from my heart, from what you're saying, your heart. We had ramped up the pressure on ourselves, hadn't we?
It's stupid, yeah. It really is ridiculous.
Have to tip our hats to Marcus Rashford, though. He took it superbly.
He really did. And let's hope, to be honest, he's got it 100% of the time now, because as I say, it's going to really boost his goal-scoring stats at the end of the season, and I think we're in better hands with him taking the penalties as opposed to anyone else.
I think so. Little small point. Solskjaer after the game, he says, "Oh, he's great. He can go right. He can go left. He can also go down the middle." I'm like, Ollie, shut your mouth. What are you doing? Bloody hell, thanks for that. He hasn't.
Pretty obvious, right?
It is, but you don't want to be playing those games. Just keep your mouth shut. That's all I'm saying. All right.
but it's like a boxing coach being like, yeah, you know, he can hit with his left, he can hit with his right, and it's pretty obvious.
Right. As long as he doesn't go down the middle and it gets saved, we'll forget about it. All right.
Yeah. If the next one he goes down the middle and gets saved, then you do have a bee in your bonnet about that. I'll give you that.
Yes, absolutely. But overall, mate, as we say, it was a hard fought game. The penalty went in the 8th minute, and realistically, I mean, Leicester were good. They were good on the day. We obviously got the early goal, and we played like we got the early goal. What did you think, mate? What did you think? Do you think we should have pushed on? Do you think it was the right move, what we did? Of course, Ollie made subs around the 70-minute mark, which I think saved us, actually. But what did you think overall?
It's a good question, because I think that the week before, or a couple of weeks before at Southampton, we had a 1-0 lead, and we really should have gone for the necks and try and kill the game off. And if anything, having that in the forefront of our mind last Saturday or 2 days ago would have impacted us, I think, a bit, and made us shut up shop a little bit more and play a bit more cautious.
Yeah.
You know, whenever we get 3 points, I'm always happy. I was more relieved at the end of the day. I would have obviously much preferred a 3-0, but I think that at the moment, performances are really hard to come by, that we just need to grab whichever positive results we can. What did you think?
You know, mate, it was all about 3 points on Saturday for me. We had to get 3 points. We really did. And if you look at the table now, we're actually alongside a number of our rivals on points. Now, look, we have to caveat that with who we've played, etc. But at the same time, it's not looking as bad as it was.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, it was all about the 3 points. Scott, I'm not going to keep banging the same drum and going back to it, but it just, with us showing that resilience, with us showing that strength at the back, it keeps on popping into my mind. If only we had just bought that world-class star out there instead of Pereira, or instead of Mata in there, and we just had that little bit more creativity, that little bit more dynamism to make the most of the fact that we're not leaking goals like we were.
Yeah, I do agree with you.
And it's not me being negative, mate. I'm so happy that we're looking strong at the back, and maybe we'll add the person in January or next year or whatever. But I don't buy this. It takes 2 years to build a team. Sometimes it happens overnight, sometimes it doesn't. So,
well, if reports are to be believed, then we're in for James Maddison, and I think that maybe it was impossible to get him and Maguire both from Leicester in the same summer.
Yeah.
So we did have to wait a little bit, but I think we can still hold a little bit of hope that Pogba's going to be moved up a bit. Fred was pretty good when he came on, I thought. Him and McTominay could maybe do the job as holding midfielders, and
yes,
Pogba could be given that license to get forward and to create stuff.
Yeah, and you just touched on the Leicester boys. What did you think of Maguire? He obviously got a lot of stick from the Leicester fans, probably a bit of stick from his old mate Jamie Vardy as well. He used to give him loads of stick in training, apparently. He played really well, didn't he?
He did. He's just a complete calming presence back there. Makes everybody play better. And it's kind of strange watching us now, not thinking that we're going to concede every time that we've got our backs to the wall. That we went through a long period of thinking that we were going to concede every time the opposition had the ball, and it's funny how, in my mind anyway, that's changing slowly but surely.
Yeah, it's a good point, Scott. Actually, towards the end, there was a time where balls were getting slung in, and Maguire was getting his head on everything in it. And some of them, another defender it would have gone past, but he adjusted his body and got his head on it. So yeah, I can see that. One thing I will say, Lindelof a couple of times let the ball bounce or wasn't quite proactive enough, and let that. He's got this kind of habit, hasn't he, of losing out in the air and people sort of getting around the back of him. And a couple of times you've got away with murder, really. There's just the one worry at the back.
Yeah, I think that now that he's playing next to a really good centre-back, some of his mistakes are highlighted a bit more. When he was playing maybe next to Phil Jones or to Chris Smalling, he looked much better than them because, let's be honest, he is. But I think now that he's playing next to someone who's almost world-class, I think he's pretty close to being world-class centre-back.
Yeah, I think so.
That I just think that it's pretty obvious to see the differences in the two in quality.
Yeah, and well, now we're talking about the boys at the back. I have to say, David de Gea looked a lot more calm on Saturday, and I must say that save he made with his foot early on, it was an absolute superb save. And I might have slipped a few people by, but to adjust your heel there and keep it out, not many keepers would have saved that, Scott.
Yeah, it was outrageous, wasn't it?
It really was. But isn't it funny, though? We're talking a couple of centimetres to the right, that ball goes, hits his foot, goes in, everyone goes, oh, it's gone through De Gea's legs, the back's leaky again, and you've got, it's so funny, isn't it? Football's just such fine margins, but
yeah,
look, normal keepers wouldn't have adjusted their foot, they wouldn't have a chance. Dave saved it, and it was an absolute crucial save.
No, you're exactly right. And what I was going to say was how similar it was to Van Aanholt chance a few weeks ago that lost us the game against Crystal Palace, that he sort of tried to go with his foot. And you're right, just really fine margins can be such a huge difference.
Yeah, it's interesting, actually, the Van Aanholt one. I actually watched a video on that, looking at Dave's positioning. His positioning was fine. His positioning was normal positioning for it, for the Van Aanholt one. But what this video highlighted, good actually, is that normally Dave keeps quite an upright pose in those situations. And when he keeps that upright pose, it allows him to make decisions very quickly as to whether to use his feet or his arms. And he makes those decisions very quickly.
Yeah.
In that particular example, when Van Aanholt was winding up, he actually crouched down. He actually crouched into the ball, which is very, very rare for Dave. And what it meant was that his hand was lower down, nearer his foot effectively. And so therefore, the decision was that much harder for him to choose hand or foot, ended up going through both. It's actually a nice little bit of insight. On Saturday, Dave wasn't looking so nervous. He was keeping that posture, that upright posture, which makes the most of his big lanky frame. And superb stuff.
Yeah, that's a really, really good point. You always got to think that when you're bearing down on goal as a striker, the last thing you want to see is a 6'5" fella coming at you. But when he crouches down a bit, it's maybe a little bit more of a welcoming sight for a striker.
Yeah.
But, it was good to see. I don't think Dave's quite back to his best yet, but I think he's getting there. And
no,
there are a few moments where I think maybe he could have chucked one in like he had done in the last few months. But it was just good to see that he's maybe turned a corner.
It was indeed. And he did sign a new contract today. And we will chat about that after we finish with the Leicester game. It was quite interesting seeing Schmeichel coming up at the end there. I was getting a bit nervous just because I know how much Casper loves United. When I was growing up, I always used to see him with Peter, and I just thought he was so annoyed they didn't whip it in, wasn't it? I was just thinking, when you want something so much, you're going to make that much more effort to get your head on that ball. And I was had my hands together praying, I tell you.
Yeah, that's why there are so many stats of players scoring against their old teams or scoring against places they grew up or things like that. And I actually had the same thought when I saw him. I thought, God, this is who's going to do it, right? We've survived for 80 odd minutes. And this is this is how it's gonna come down to it. Good to see you're right. It didn't come to anything, and they're victims of our corner routines. It looks like.
Oh God, yeah, it was, wasn't it? And talking about people scoring against their old clubs, Harry Maguire almost had his first goal, didn't he? Had a big chance, God. And I had some money on him as well because I know about this.
You did, didn't you? I knew it.
Of course, I blooming did. You know it.
You stop putting money on, mate. He's going to start scoring those goals.
You know it, buddy. You know it. But the odds are all right at the moment, so it's fine. One other thing I want to touch on is that the free kicks were all right, mate. Andreas Pereira forced an outrageous save out of Schmeichel. Let's be fair about it.
Yeah.
And Rashford hit the bar with an absolute pearler too.
Yeah, from what, 35 yards out?
Mhm.
Thought it was perfect angle for Fred to give it a good smash, but I'm still looking forward to Fred taking a few more free kicks. He scored quite a few when he was playing for Donetsk, and just never seems to be given the chance for us. But I saw that and thought, oh, here you go, Fred, here's your chance. And no, Rashford smashed it against the bar.
It was good to see, mate. And I must say, and I think those free kicks were actually a reflection of it. The attitude was better on Saturday. The attitude was better. And Rashford did say he was quite in the interview. He seemed like it seemed like Ollie's had a chat to him. Actually, that's what the papers are saying. But his attitude seemed better. He said, "Look, this is not just a win today. We've been working all week for this." And Ollie said as well, it's great for the players that they can see what we're doing is working. So they've obviously worked really hard in the week, which I have to tip my hat to, and say well done, lads.
Yeah, and I think, as we were saying earlier, that the international break sort of came at the perfect time for us.
It did.
And giving us a chance to let dust settle from the previous result, not play so impulsively. It was a bit annoying. We came back with a few more injuries, but overall, you can't really fault it, can you?
It was great time. It was great for me as well, mate. I got to watch Eric Cantona videos, Fergie's last game at Old Trafford, Fergie's last game at the Hawthorns. I've just been rolling back the years, mate, and just remembering what this club's all about, and just knowing that we're going to be back soon. Don't you worry about that.
Yeah.
Also, mate, we have to touch on that the subs changed the game. Look, Fred came on for Matic on the 67th minute. I thought he was superb, actually.
He was.
There was a definite rise in his level.
Yeah.
3 minutes later, Chong came on for Mata. Wasn't his best game, but the energy he injects into that front line later on, I love.
Yeah, he just always, he's so positive, right? He's just always looking to go forward by hook or crook. Pretty cheeky little nutmeg at the end. Oh. Lovely to see.
And Axel Tuanzebe on the 91st minute in defensive midfield, on for Danny James. Mm-hmm. Nice to see as well. A little bit Ollie just tightening up at the back there for the end.
You know what? It's what we needed, right? I think
it was.
If we can... Sorry, the last thing...
It was the right move.
Yeah, the last thing I bring up from the Southampton game was the fact that maybe we could have brought on a little bit of defensive reinforcements before they had the chance to score. And it was at least maybe good to see him learning from a mistake or from an indecision.
Yeah, I thought so. And we have to mention our namesake, Scott McTominay. Mm-hmm. We're fantastic, eh?
Man of the match, mate. Man of the match. Bar none.
I haven't asked you yet, Scott.
Oh, sorry.
You've ruined the surprise.
Well, I wasn't necessarily saying he was mine, but he was the official Premier League man of the match.
Yes.
But yeah, spoiler alert.
He was. He was great. Really great energy. I must say, mate, I have to say, Ashley Young, I thought he was superb.
He was.
We did say he's better at left back, didn't we?
He definitely is.
He is.
Because it's not so much of a massive change from what he's... I think his natural position is playing wide left.
Yep.
And it's not so much a massive change, is it?
Oh, he's so much better. There's so many more options he's got on the ball than he's got on the right. Mm-hmm. Just think about it. Just think of the things he likes to do. He's just got way more options. So he's a better player, and he's better... He makes way more blocks because he's right-footed, so there was cut into that. Mm-hmm. And he actually he's all right at tackling for a winger. Fair play to him. Look, as a backup to Shaw and to Lowe and Aaron Wan-Bissaka, he's superb as an option. So let's and he is one person who does remember, those things that I was watching throughout the last couple of weeks. He's been there. De Gea's been there, and we need these people. We need them to remind everyone what it was like in that dressing room when we were winning titles and going to Champions League finals and tearing across Europe.
Yeah, he's got the United culture ingrained in him, and if anything, he's a good leader for the other lads as well.
Yeah, I would suggest he's a lot better bloke than people can give him credit for. I think actually, yeah.
Oh, 100%.
But one thing I do think, mate, is that you look through that United team, and Ollie was saying that Maguire's a good captain. Potential captain. He's still quite softly spoken and kind of like he's more to me as a sort of vice captain than Maguire. We're still, to me, you look through that team. I don't really like the phrase, but we're kind of lacking alpha males in there, aren't we?
Yeah.
We if you look at it, you've got good guys and all the rest of it, but even the tough guys like Wan-Bissaka, he's like a nice chilled guy, isn't he? You wouldn't say he's an alpha male. He's just a savage.
Yeah. I think that comes with having quite a young team as well, right? That players haven't really grown into themselves yet, haven't really reached their peak. And, I think that when we've had Zlatan and Eric Cantona and Cristiano Ronaldo in the dressing room, that we definitely lack something like that, right?
So that's where I was going with this guy, actually. I was going to say, because Zlatan's been saying, obviously he broke the LA Galaxy season record, didn't he?
Yeah.
26 goals. And he has said if we need his help, he can come and help. That's where I was going with it, actually. I was going to say, look, there's an alpha male who knows the dressing room, who we know influences Pogba in a good way, and potentially could influence Rashford, Greenwood, Martial in a good way as well, unless he steals Martial's number again. But maybe not Zlatan. I'm not trying to push the Zlatan agenda at all. I'm just saying there's an obvious need for, people say, oh, we shouldn't sign him as too old. We shouldn't sign him as too old. But maybe we need someone who is a bit old and has got sort of that alpha male, that leader, and have the influence that we saw from Zlatan.
Well, it's funny, isn't it? Because, when Mourinho was the coach, and that summer we brought in Ibra, we brought in Paul Pogba, and Eric Bailly as well, but
Yeah.
all of them well over 6 foot, and you sort of look at them in the tunnel before the game, and we just looked such an imposing team. We had Fellaini, we had a few other massive players.
Yeah, we did.
And I think that's maybe shift. And then, of course, he brings Matic in, and you think, God, this is the defensive midfielder we've been screaming out for, someone who has got the ability, not quite the potential, and is a complete alpha male. And I think that, if anything, Pogba, you look at him now, and he doesn't have that same quality in him.
No.
So I'm not sure if this all of this contract talk, all this transfer talk has got to his head as much as we think it has. But let's hope that can change, pal.
Yes, yeah. But we need some more leaders in that team.
Mm-hmm.
Look, there's people standing up, putting their hands up. McTominay led with his performance. I can't deny that. He really did. Wan-Bissaka, he's fantastic. De Gea was great. Young was great. I still think maybe it'd be worth giving De Gea the skippership full time.
Yeah, I wouldn't put it past anybody. I was calling out for it in the summer.
You were.
But if anything, it was a token gesture to try and get him to put his signature on the page. I think that moving forward, it's probably the best move, right?
Well, we'll see with the next game. We won't see the next game. The next game we'll have Romero in goal, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But the game after, we might see a change. You never know. We will see with that, and we will chat very, very shortly about Dave's contract that he signed today. But first, mate, I have to confirm: is that your man of the match, Scott McTominay?
It is TC. And who was yours?
Fantastic. I thought
Ashley Young.
I thought Ashley Young was superb. I really did. But Scott McTominay was great too. He really was.
Go on, give him 2 bottles. Go on.
I'm going Ashley Young.
All right.
I'm going Ashley Young.
All right.
So, mate, David de Gea finally put pen to paper. We were getting nervous.
Yeah.
He made us wait, the little rascal. But he has signed a 3.5-year extension. So, 2023, extra year to add. He's been here 8 years now, mate.
Incredible.
He's here to stay.
Yeah. Since this whole contract talk has been in the air, his form has dipped a little bit. So now let's hope that it's completely over and done with, that he can move on and be the world-class goalkeeper, or the best goalkeeper in the world that we know him to be.
Yes, Scott, that's exactly it. I think the contract talk has affected him. I think the thoughts of possibly moving has affected him. He's obviously got his girlfriend who was sort of blamed for him looking elsewhere in the past. So when a contract was up for negotiating, it makes sense that she'd be in his ear, right?
Mm-hmm.
We all, we've all had relationships or in relationships, and we know how it is. If the door is slightly ajar, he's probably getting a bit of pressure from that side. So now the door's shut.
Yeah.
He's not going anywhere. He's staying. He knows it. She knows it. And I think that Dave's going to return to his former self. Look, we've had 8 years. Don't forget, Dave came back from a far worse situation than this. When he was chucking him in at the beginning, he was getting bullied in the box. He was getting fouled all over. Refs weren't blowing. And he kept on. He's got the mental resilience. I think he's still got a World Cup hangover. And I think it will start to disperse.
Yeah, that's a really good point as well. I think that having everybody tell you that you are the best goalkeeper in the world can also have a bit of a detriment to your form.
Especially when you make a little error.
Yeah.
If you're meant to be the best keeper in the world, you make a little error, you go home that night and you think, well, I wasn't the best keeper in the world today, was I? I made that bloody error. So, I do get it.
I think that he's surrounded by good people. I think that Romero and him are good pals. Yeah. He does still have Juan Mata. Maybe the losing Ander Herrera as well might have affected him. I know how close he was with him.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that knowing that you are valued by the club as much as he is also really beneficial to his overall psyche.
Yeah.
Onwards and upwards, pal. Let's do it.
Yes, I think so, mate. Dave's been, like we say, he's been with us from the Fergie years. If he can return to his former self, then we've got an absolute cracker there.
He's joint longest running player, right? With Ashley Young, that came in the same summer.
Yeah.
And Phil Jones came that same summer, right?
It was the same. Yeah, because he was at the stadium at night. So, mate, let's have a look. We've had a bit of a dodgy start to the season, dodgy transfer window. We've had a better performance on Saturday. It looks like we're starting to put something together. How are you feeling, mate? What's your position at the moment on the state of the club? I know we chatted a little bit over the last few weeks, and we were not too happy about things, wondering which way we should turn, whether there needs to be change at the very top of the club, which direction we should turn. How are you feeling now, pal?
I think a bit better than I was definitely after the Southampton game. Today's news of De Gea signing his contract is a massive, massive plus, let's be honest. August the 8th, when our transfer window closed and we had a pretty underwhelming few months, it looked pretty bad because, the chances are we were going to lose Pogba, we're probably going to lose De Gea as well at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And now that those two things have sort of been crossed off, temporarily at least with Pogba, but it's a bit more of a palatable situation. I think as well, it looks like we're trying to address this director of football with all these Edwin van der Sar rumours coming in, who I personally think would be a perfect man for the job.
And I'll second that. Can we just stop on that, actually?
Yeah.
Edwin van der Sar, is absolutely superb. He knows the club. He's won us a European Cup. He's been at Ajax. He's bringing people through in Ajax. Ajax got to the semi-final of the Champions League.
Mm-hmm.
He knows European football. He's played at Juventus. He's played in Ajax. He's played in England. He's played all over. He knows the game. He's a bloody good option, mate. He's a blooming amazing option. Apparently, he's only on about 400,000 a year
Crazy.
at Ajax, and we'd offer him 1.5. Apparently, it's just about he wants to know whether he's going to be Woodward's puppet or he's going to be Woodward's saviour. And I'd suggest Woodward chooses that one carefully.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, it would be a fantastic option, right? Like truly world-class goalkeeper, one of the best goalkeepers of his generation,
Blinding.
and had a fantastic career before he came to United. And he won the Champions League at Ajax,
Amazing.
at Juventus, won countless league titles at those two clubs. And then his last stop was his biggest stop, right? He came to United at the end of his career and truly saw what a step up it was compared to everywhere else, compared to other biggest clubs in Europe. And I think that having that experience is so key for a director of football. You look at someone like Darren Fletcher or Rio Ferdinand, the other ones. Rio maybe is a good option.
It's not even a competition, mate.
No.
Not even a competition.
No,
with
it's
Edwin.
not, is it?
It's not.
Yeah.
Let's be fair. It's not. It's not. And there's no criticism of them. It's not criticism of them at all. They've just not done the job before.
Yeah, and that as well.
And that
as well. Really good point. Yeah.
So yeah, really, I love that. I love that as well. Sorry to interject, mate. I just when you said that, I was like, yeah, 100%.
He would definitely bring a massive calm as well, and hopefully we can tap into some of those world-class Dutch wonder kids that they've got sprouting up at Ajax.
Exactly. And he's got a nice manner about him, Van der Sar. He's a gentleman, but he has got a hard streak too. I really, I'm well on board with that one. I was music to my ears.
And he's a United legend. Let's be honest.
Absolutely, mate. That Moscow night, dear me, absolute magic. So yeah, mate. So you feel like we are starting to turn a corner? What where are you going with that? Sorry.
I think we've turned a corner. If anything, I thought the crowd was fantastic on Saturday against Leicester.
Yeah.
And Old Trafford is not the best environment when things aren't going well.
No. What I'd say is when things are going awful, it's brilliant. When we are lower than the snake's belly, Old Trafford's there. When things are starting to turn, we can be a bit quiet.
Yeah.
But say for instance, what I'm referring to, for instance, is that ghastly 3-0. We were down 3-0 to Liverpool on about the 65th, 70th minute at Old Trafford under Moyes, and we sang 20 times for 20 minutes non-stop as Liverpool were battering us.
Yeah.
We needed it that day. Because we were all going to go and bloom and top ourselves.
Yeah, but then I've been there when we've been drawing 1-1 against Wimbledon, and the crowd decide to start booing Ryan Giggs.
Yeah,
and you're like, where's this come from?
Yes, Scott. No, they're not without their crimes. Definitely not. People forget that Giggsy got booed, and he got booed again later in his career as well. He had a bit of a hard time at times.
Yeah, all you got to remember is Fergie got booed. Fergie had critics. Case closed. But how do you feel about the state of the club now, pal?
You know what, Scott? I've kind of come to the conclusion that I just want to see progression. And if we are progressing under Ollie, I have to give Ollie more of a chance than I give anyone else because he's a United legend and because I would like us to get back to the top under Ollie better than under Conte, for instance,
Yeah.
whoever it might be. I'm just picking a name out there. I'm not saying Conte's going to be United manager. I'm just saying someone who has no attachment to me. I would rather it be Ollie. But if Ollie's not the man to lead us back to the top, that's fine too. If that's the way it is, no worries. All I want, mate, is I want to see us progressing. This season, we can't go backwards. We can't go back to then say we're going to rebuild and go forward. With what we've done with the squad, it's going to be a tough task. It's going to be a tough ask to not slip down that league table, because you see you've got these teams like Leicester, and you've got these teams, obviously Wolves didn't do so well at the weekend, but you've got teams that are improving. And if we're not on the ball this season, we could finish in quite an embarrassing league position.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's about almost getting through this season unscathed, showing progression, getting the youngsters into the side slowly but surely. I don't buy into all this nonsense that we need to fill the team with 11 youngsters. It's absolute nonsense. Do people not know anything about young players? They need to be taken out of the firing line and put into the firing line. When you're young, your brain's not the same, Scott. I mean, think about it. When you were 19 years old,
Mm-hmm.
would you want to make the 19-year-old Scott to be making your decisions, or Scott now making the decisions? Scott now,
Yeah.
of course. The 19-year-old's shot to bits.
Shot to bits.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, you look at these young lads and we expect them to act like a fully grown adult when, they don't.
And it's like, Angel Gomez has been banging a couple goals in for the reserves. He could definitely do it for the first team. But
Exactly.
you're playing against completely different players, and it's not apples and apples, right?
No. And look, if we can progress this season and get through it and scrape into the Champions League, through the Europa League, 4th position, whatever it might be, and then we go out and we buy properly, and in January we need to go out and buy properly too, then I'm going to stay on the train.
Yeah.
If we start slipping behind, mate, then we're going to have to do something about it as a fan base. We really are. We can't keep slipping back. And I don't buy this ardage that it takes 2 or 3 years to rebuild. It takes no amount of time to rebuild. It can take 100 years. You can never make it. You can never win another title. Or
look at Leicester.
Or it can be next season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the thing, Scott. It can change so quickly. So for me, I'm looking for progression, mate. I'm looking for us, as I say, on Saturday, we needed 3 points. I'll be watching on Thursday when we play Astana.
Mm-hmm.
And what I want to see there is I want to see us blood some youngsters there. It's a perfect opportunity to see your man Angel Gomez. Angel Gomez. I still can't get his name right, can I? Mason Greenwood. You think we might see Garner?
Perhaps. He's right on the cusp, isn't he? I think that maybe Fred played well against Leicester. I'd like to see him start. But yeah, maybe we definitely could see Joel Garner.
And what about Chong?
I would hope so too. But I think Mason Greenwood's going to be a much different player once he gets his first goal, right? He looks like he's pretty nervous at the moment, and he just needs one to go in, and then hopefully the floodgates open.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so.
But again, you can't forget he's 17 years old. And already the weight of the world is on United strikers, right? There's so much expectation. Romelu Lukaku couldn't hack it.
No.
Alexis Sanchez couldn't hack it. And we're sitting here thinking, well, a 17-year-old kid from around the corner, he should be able to do it. It doesn't really make sense. It doesn't really work like that.
I know. And also the people who are saying, well, he said Green was great. Why is he not playing every week? Because Ollie is experienced as a football man, and he knows you don't chuck a 17-year-old in and then just leave it. That's not the way you do it. You have to manage the person as well as the player. So yeah, I'm patient in terms of the youth getting blooded. I think it's going to happen with Ollie. That's fine. And I think Thursday is going to be a great thing. And funnily enough, Scott, it's so bizarre. I'm looking forward to Thursday more than I was looking forward to Saturday.
Yeah.
Like I'm actually begging us for Thursday because you get to see the youngsters, might see Chong from the start.
And it's an opposition that we shouldn't have any trouble with, right?
Exactly. It's perfect for the youngsters.
Whereas Leicester at home was a worst fixture we could possibly have had on Saturday.
Banana skin central. Absolutely. And do you think maybe Axel might start?
I would definitely think so. I would definitely think so. That. I was thinking during the international break, it was actually after the Southampton game that Victor Lindelof made another mistake, that we've still got Eric Bailly coming in, and maybe him and Maguire could be the partnership that we're looking forward to instead of Maguire and Lindelof.
You know what, Scott? That's an interesting little point there. That's an interesting little point. I would say Bailly and Maguire, in terms of the style of the centre-backs, I'd say they're quite a good match.
Well, because Bailly does have some fantastic qualities, right? He just might need to be pointed in the direction of where to go, and he doesn't have the tactical nous to be a great centre-back. But when you've got someone next to you who can literally point you in that direction, it's going to be a lot easier. It's sort of like Rio and Vidic. Vidic took to the Premier League like a duck to water because he had Rio next to him, just telling him exactly what to do, exactly where to do it. And it was just a lot easier for him to transition in. And I think that Bailly has so many good qualities, but if anything, it's just mentally, he's a bit mental, right? He chucks himself into challenges. He plays at volume 14 at all times.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe Maguire could be a perfect foil for him.
You know what, Scott? Yeah, I can buy into that big time. I think that's exactly what he needs. He needs someone calm, cool, collected next to him. Mm-hmm. Don't forget, on the other side of him, he's going to have Wan-Bissaka as well. So that's a different story too.
Yeah.
The only worry there is he sees Wan-Bissaka doing all those sliding challenges and thinks, I'll have a piece of that. And we just got these two just flying around, bloody two spiders. Unbelievable. You could imagine it though, like them having a tackle off on the right hand side.
Yeah, you definitely could. But when we bought Eric Bailly, everyone was like, God, I can't believe how good this guy is. 30 million quid. Can't believe how good he is. He has a lot of really good things in his locker, and let's hope that Harry Maguire has the keys in order to open it up perfectly.
Yeah, I think, you know what, that might be you never know how things will go, and that actually might be a really good point, Scott. We'll see about that.
All right.
Absolutely. So what do you think, mate, in terms of the Astana match? Do you think we will pack it full of youngsters and have a blooming bit of fun?
Maybe not full of them, maybe 3 or 4, and we can do a quick...
We'll have Sergio Romero in goal.
Romero in goal, you'd probably have to say.
Wan-Bissaka might get a night off?
Yeah, I think he's got a night off. He was a doubt for the Leicester game, right? So yeah. I think as well, we've got a massive game at West Ham on Sunday.
Yeah.
So, the fullbacks are tough. I think Ashley Young's going to play one of them, but I don't know which one.
Yeah.
Maybe it'd give Brandon Williams or Ethan Laird a chance. Who knows?
Well, it would be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
It would be nice.
I don't think Deleu's going to be back quite in time.
No.
Centre-backs, I'd probably say Axel and Phil Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you in terms of the centre-backs?
Yeah, I think so. Look, in terms of predicting the team for Thursday, it's kind of not even worth bothering with, because it's such a, we don't know how Ollie's going in the Europa League yet. The second game, we might have an idea, but for me against Astana, I personally, I get Romero and I get Tuanzebe and I get Jones in. Of course, I get Chong, Fred, as many people on the periphery as possible into that team. And look, we can put some ammo on the bench. Don't forget, Fergie used to do that all the time. He used to play a weakened team. They used to do it in the league. He used to do it in the league when we needed to rest players.
Yeah.
We'd just play it tight for 60, 70 minutes and then we'd bring on the cavalry. I'm not saying we need to keep it tight against Astana. We can have a go at them. But what I'm saying is that we can have enough on the bench to know that in 20, 30 minutes we can demolish them.
Yeah, it is a really important game, though, right? Because you look at this group, and if we don't get out of this group, heads are going to be crashing for it.
Yeah, I guess that's another interesting thing out of this game. We'll get a little bit more inside the mind of Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, won't we? We'll know a little bit more about how secure he thinks his job is, about how much he trusts the youngsters, and what he thinks of the Europa League. He's going to answer a lot of questions, I think, the team selection on Thursday. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have lots of positive points on Friday's pod, mate.
Hopefully.
So thanks for joining us again. Remember to subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, or your favourite podcast app. We'll be back on Friday. Thanks for joining me again, Scott.
Thank you, mate.
Thanks, Reds. Cheerio.
Ta-ra.